shoot, what's the name of that place? Yeah, there's one in that Idaho lake. I'm trying to think of the name of it. It starts with an S.
Huh. Well, yeah, I just, because that's interesting because we have a correlation on that. So,
they can go right from there to the Pacific Ocean, to anywhere they want. There's one also in Lake Tahoe. The basin on Lake Tahoe.
That wouldn't surprise me a bit. That lake is incredibly deep, Lake Tahoe.
You remember Jacques Cousteau went down there in a deep dive many years ago. And he went down 600 feet, I think, and when he came up, he had nothing to say. And they said, "What'd you say?" He says, "I would have no comment."
Yeah, that figures. It's also incredibly cold, which is really amazing. What do you think about the Gulf oil situation? Because in light of what you're talking about, there's got to be some other things going on with it. Have you been getting any information about that?
No, basically we did that ourselves, and the way we did it is the same way we did the Mura building and the World Trade Center and the tsunami in Southeast Asia, and 50 other places, things disasters that I could name to you. But basically, what we have is 24 orbiting offensive weapon satellites plus 2 Navy command centers and orbiting command centers, and they have super weapons up there that can do anything. And now, why they did the oil thing, I don't know, but they certainly did the World Trade Center, and that can be proven because all that was left of the World Trade Center was dust that was about 80 microns in diameter. And what this weapon does, it uses a method called molecular dissociation, and what it does is it reduces concrete, steel, anything to its elemental properties. There's just nothing left. 80 micron dust is all that's left of there. And the interesting thing is when they fired this thing at the World Trade Center, they didn't realize the power of it, and that it was non-self-quenching. And by non-self-quenching, what I mean is whatever effect it had, they can't put it out. That's why they can't build any buildings. And here it's been, almost 10 years, and there's no buildings go up. And the reason there's no buildings going up is because as soon as they pour some concrete and erect some steel, it disintegrates. And so now they're caught, everybody's waiting for the new World Trade Center, and there ain't going to be any there because it keeps disintegrating.
That's fascinating. So
they keep coming up with excuses. We have union problems and we can't settle on the design and this and that and so on. That's not the truth. The truth is the weapon that they fired is non-self-quenching, and anything they try to build up there just immediately starts disintegrating.
So you're theorizing, I don't know, you have inside intelligence telling you that that they shot a weapon at the oil rig and caused the thing to explode. Is that the idea?
Yeah, it wasn't a space shuttle weapon. It's one of 24 orbiting Navy offensive weapons. And this started in 1968.
Is this a particle beam? Is it a particle beam weapon? Would you call it that? A particle beam weapon. Particle beam.
Particle beam?
Yeah, a weapon.
I know what that is.
You've never heard of a particle? Oh, particle. No, particle beam weapon.
Particle beam.
It's
particle beam is an old weapon, but yes, all these weapons do different things. For instance, the tsunami in Southeast Asia that killed 250,000 people. There was no quake that preceded that or anything. What they did is they just shot this thing into the water, and it created a massive tidal wave, which killed those 250,000 people. Same thing. I can show you pictures of the Mura building that match exactly pictures taken at the World Trade Center about how this weapon works and how it disintegrates stuff. And as you know, if you're very familiar with the Mura building investigation, there was demolition stuff already tied or massed to these posts that never went off. And we've never heard anything about that. I doubt if Timothy McVeigh had anything to do with that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that for sure.
That was one of the very first tests of this molecular disassociation weapon that they used.
So, do you think they're going to use that? I mean, for example, are they using that in Iran?
Oh yeah, sure. They use it in Iraq. You could go to page. Let's see. You could go to. I think it's on thelivingmoon.com. There is an Air Force manual written about things that they would wish to have by 2025, and the document is like 300 or 400 pages long, and it has drawings of how the hologram works, and has a picture of an F-117 aiming the holograph, and it tells what it does. It deceptively can place a town where a town is not, or weapons where they're not. And but one of the most interesting things, considering this was written in 1996, it details what a kinetic energy weapon can do, and the map that they have, it shows a little map, and it shows the kinetic weapon aiming at Earth. And the interesting thing is the beam hits right in northeast Iran. Now remember, this was written in 1996, and that's right where the oil pipeline goes from the Caspian Sea to the Persian Gulf. So that was written in 1996, and so I expect there to be some real action there over in Iran pretty quick, and they'll definitely use this weapon. With this weapon, they've got control of everything. Oh, another thing they did is they blew up that Soviet nuclear facility that was 300 miles west of the Three Gorges Dam. Now, why they did that to the Russians, I don't know, because we all know now that the Cold War was a fake. There never was any war. We have always been allied with the Russians.
Right, but what do you think is happening now? Because there's a lot of rumblings of there being issues between the U.S. and Russia right now. You think that that's fake as well?
Yeah, that's fake. Everything at the top, we're friends. Always have been. That's why they never attempted to go to the moon. They supposedly sent Venera to Venus, and the temperature was 800 degrees centigrade, which is all BS. There's a nice civilization there of people that are far more advanced, both sociologically and technologically to us. It's not 800 degrees. It's just the same temperature as Earth. But anyway, the Venera spacecraft told us all that stuff. And the Russians were always ahead of us. They were the first ones to get pictures of the backside of the far side of the moon in 1960. They were the first ones to land and get a scoop of Earth or of the moon and bring it back. They were always ahead of us in that stuff, but we've always been allies with the Russians.
Isn't that something of a contradiction if you're saying they actually landed on the moon?
Contradiction as to what?
You're saying we never went to the moon, or you're saying the Russians did?
No, it was an automatic lander. No people.
Oh, I see. An unmanned.
It was a spacecraft, but no people went there.
Okay, so it's an unmanned vehicle, is what you're saying.
Now, one of the guys that went there is a guy named Howard Bender. He died about a year ago. He put out a book called From Outer Space to You, and I talked with Howard. He lived in Vero Beach, and he went to the moon in 1956 as guest of the host on the moon, and he's the one that told us that we have to orbit the moon for a week to decompress because the atmospheric altitude on the moon